So much has happened since I've been gone camping this past couple of weeks. First, most of you have already gotten that 2021.12.25.7 update that came out just a little over a week ago. And I've had it now for a while, but just the last couple days I've been able to actually use it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about a video posted by a guy on Twitter named Green that shows the Tesla now backing into a parking stall using just cameras, as well as a leaked video about the new Tesla app that's coming out that looks quite refreshed. So first off, update 2021.12.25.7 brought some interface changes that are actually kind of neat. We also got a new game added called Skyforce, which is actually pretty fun. You basically fly around shooting stuff. We've seen games like this in arcades for decades. And as you shoot more and more ships and everything, your guns get better and that sort of thing. But what really impressed me about this game was how the car actually interacts with the gaming now. And this is what's getting better. For example, the screen is very responsive. And as you're playing the game, when you take your finger off, the game quickly pauses. And then when you put your finger back on again, the game resumes itself. And more impressively, one of the bigger changes is that now the games can be played while the car is in drive. Up until this point, the car had to actually be in park for the games to be activated. Well, any part of the entertainment to be activated. So now when you sign on to the game, the entertainment side, and you go to the arcade, it's going to ask you if you're the passenger. This is something we're used to on the thing like the karaoke. We had that on there. Well, now the games are doing that. So you know, the passenger will tap on the passenger and then the games can be played while you're driving down the road. Now these games do have two different variations as well. If the car is in park, it can go full screen. If you're going to drive, the car will automatically shrink down so that you can still see the driver portion, what you need, the animated side of your screen while you're driving. You can also go in and minimize it. So let's say that you're driving down the road and your partner or whoever's in the passenger seat is playing a game on there. Maybe they're doing solitaire, who knows? And all of a sudden now you need to see your map, change some settings, whatever. You can quickly minimize it. It shoots up to the top right corner. It can't be moved from the corner. It's stationary there, but it moves up there, and then you can do what you need to do on the map, and then you can drag it back down or maximize it back to the full screen if you happen to go back into park. Of course, all the streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, YouTube, all that, they are not enabled while you're driving. You still do have to be in park for that, so sorry for all you guys who are waiting to be able to watch TV going down the road. Still can't do that, thank goodness. But I do find it interesting that they have enabled this, because obviously it's still going to be very distracting as you're driving down the road. Someone's going to be playing a game right there. How are you not going to be watching that? So I'm a little surprised that they did this. But, I mean, hey, and let's not pretend that only your passenger is going to be playing this, although I hope that's the case. You know that when people are at stoplights, you know that when people are in traffic, they're going to be pulling up a game on there, screwing around to pass the time while on autopilot, that sort of thing. But obviously, guys, be responsible with this. The biggest reason why so many of us do not have the full self-drive is because people are doing stupid things on autopilot and they're blasting it all over the internet. And obviously, Tesla has to be careful with that. So please don't use this unless you're the passenger or you're in park. Now, I did wonder if this is one of those things where once you started going 5 or 10 miles per hour, that the game would just kind of pause or shut off. But as I drove through my neighborhood checking it out, kept working. Now this could be a thing too, that someday when that camera over the rear view mirror looked down and saw the driver actually doing that it could maybe turn off the gaming or something to keep it safe, depending on how the regulators want to do this. Who knows what could actually happen down the road. So be honest with me down in the comments. How many of you guys are going to actually play this thing while driving down the road? No judgment, just curious. There are more changes to the phone interface as well, which I thought were pretty great. More specifically with messaging. It now looks just more like your iPhone, and they've been making some changes on this over the past few updates, and it just looks better and better. There's less lines, it's more simple, a little more refreshed look in there. It does look like you're actually having a conversation similar to your iPhone, which of course I love. Even the Bluetooth settings up in the top right corner, when you tap that, look different. It asked me when I got into the car if I wanted to connect my phone to Bluetooth, which I'd never been asked before. And then once you're in there, it was just a little bit cleaner of a look. By the way, the dictation in the car while doing messaging with someone else is incredibly impressive. I couldn't believe that when I was having a conversation with my wife, every time it picked me up just perfectly and the conversation was right there in front of me, easily played out. Now to have a conversation with someone in your car and dictate, all you have to do is when they text you, you just either can tap the little card that pops up, or you can press one time on your right wheel, and one time is to respond, 2 times is to cancel. So they call you or they text you, you press it once, you don't hold it, you talk to them, it dictates it, and then a new thing is too, once it's done dictating, it changes the words and the bubble around the words to all black, knowing or letting you know that it is now done dictating. It knows you're done talking. You could then press it one time to send or press it twice and then you can re-record it. So it's really nice. You got really good controls on it. And most of the time I didn't have to do any re-recording. It was actually really impressive. And unlike so many of you guys, we've been waiting for group messaging to get handled or figured out a little bit better. And you got to be really careful if you're the kind of people that get lots of group message texts, because it will come through to you looking like a direct message to you. So let's say you have 5 other people in a group and someone says, hey, are you going to do this tomorrow? It looks like they're asking you specifically if you are, but they're asking a group of people. So be careful how you reply back, because you're replying back into a group, but it doesn't look like you are. So be really careful with that. And then when someone else in the group responds, it's going to come to you as a direct message as well. So you might randomly get a message that says, yes, I'll be there. When you're like, beware, I never asked you anything. But it's because they're responding to someone else in a group. And maybe you got that initial question when you weren't in your car, so that wasn't a part of the conversation, and you're like, what is going on? So just be aware, group messaging is still not figured out. That is a bit of a tough one. I, of course, did take it out and test autopilot to see if there was any changes that I could find. On the windy roads, the car did about the same from the previous update, which was 4.21.3, in staying between the lines on the curves. It's still doing better with the left curving roads than the right, as it tends to drift more towards the center line that way. Although I did feel like it was doing better braking while in the turn to correct itself if it felt the speed wasn't quite right to make a smooth drive around that corner. It would almost like hit the brakes and then kind of aggressively correct itself, which I actually kind of liked. On the train track corner, the car didn't slow down and wanted to take it at 41 miles per hour, so I had to intervene before I really even got into the corner. If you recall last time, I actually caught a little bit of air, so didn't really want to do that again. This corner in updates before the 4.21.3 update used to slow down to about 30, 31 miles per hour around that corner, and now it doesn't do that. So for whatever they're doing with the updates, that has changed, because we do the same corner with every updates, and you really start to see a difference there. So this time again, went really fast around that corner. All in all, with this update, nothing really changed with the autopilot that I could tell, but we got some new interface changes and a new game, so that's always good. Now, speaking of things changing, one area that we've all wanted Tesla to spend more time on is autopark. Right now, the way autopark works, and I'm not talking about autopark like it driving into your garage or going front and back. What I'm talking about is when you basically pull into a parking lot like at Safeway, and let's just say it was totally empty, you could not tell your car to go and park in that stall you just passed. What you had to look for was 2 different cars with a gap between. So stall here, and the middle one was empty. Then when you drove past it, you could tell the car, hey, back into that spot. So it could be a thing where you have an entire parking lot wide open, but there's only 2 cars in it, and they're in the middle of the parking lot, tons of parking around, but the only spot that your car could auto park in is between those 2 cars. You would never do that, but that's the way it is right now. So a guy named Green on Twitter, I think his handle is actually Green the Only, and if I remember right, he's some kind of like software hacker or something like that, got the auto park feature using just cameras in his car. I don't know how he did it. I'm not gonna pretend to know how he did it, but he showed a video here of him actually using cameras to park in a parking stall with just lines. Let's take a look at it. So first he drives past the stall he wants to get into, then he hits the P button telling the car, okay, I want you to go ahead and do the park. You see his hands come off the wheel and the car starts to, take control. Now watch the center screen, okay? You can see the camera, you can see the path the car is gonna go. Watch that as he goes through and does this. Also notice how there are no cars beside him either while watching this, okay? This is all just reading the lines of the parking stall. So you see it backing in, then you see it stop, pull forward again, line up, correct itself, and back into the stall. That's the exact same pattern that the car does right now when it's parking in between 2 actual vehicles. Now, this is not an official review or video from Tesla. This is not like Tesla gave it to him, he's making this video about it. So I don't know exactly how this is gonna work, what it's gonna look like entirely for all of us, or when it's gonna come, or what update, all of that. It's just a video that was posted letting us know that the Teslas are very capable of doing this with their camera reading abilities, and so I'm excited for that to finally come to us. And I'm curious of you guys watching this right now, how many of you guys right now do actually use the auto park function when in a parking lots and things like that? I use the parallel parking a lot more than I do parking between two other cars. And how many of you guys will use this even more if you're able to have this update like this to where you can park with just simple parking lines. Now, speaking of new things coming, let's talk about those leaked images, leaked video of the Tesla app. Now, I'm actually excited about this because I love it when an app that I use all the time gets a refresh or a new look to it, just makes it a little more functional, brings it more up to a more modern type of feel. And so let's take a look at some of the changes that are coming out on the app. So now, first off, I don't know where all this information is coming from. I read it on notateslaapp.com. They probably found it somewhere else. And so I'm more or less just talking about it with you guys, but it looks pretty official, it looks pretty nice. And I would imagine it's something that we're gonna see with some modern changes and updates from what we're gonna look at today here in the next couple months. But let's take a look here. So some of the things you notice right out the bat is that the fonts are a little more modernized. It's like a refreshed look. It's got different items in order. So let's really dive in to see what exactly has changed. First, they've added a new charge button on the very front. You used to only have 3 fast action. Now there's 4. The charge has been added. You also see the slide bar to control the percentage of charge you want your Tesla to have at that given time. So that's kind of nice to have that front and center. Obviously, the Tesla animation at the top is completely different. As you move throughout the app, the animation does change, which is kind of fun. The controls tab is now at the very top versus 3 down, which makes it a lot easier to get to your access for all those kinds of things. When you click on that controls tab, you see it's completely redone, completely changed. Rather than having just a bunch of items to click on, you now have a top-down view of the car, and you just simply click on those different parts of it, whether it's the charging cord, whether it's the trunk, the front, to have them open or close or whatever you're trying to do. And then on the bottom, you have your other control options easily accessible as well. I think this is a very big change, a very necessary change that they put that right on top and that they made these updates to the controls because we use that probably more than anything. Under the climate tab, it now looks like you got rocket jets coming out of your dash, which I think is super cool. Summon, go to target, and then to summon forward and back are now all in the exact same place, which is great. Basically, the whole screen is the summon, go to target, except on the bottom you have up and down arrows, which makes it all nice and convenient in one place. So that's a really nice update, I think. The updates tab also got a nice change. You now not only have your available updates, but you have the ability to shop through Tesla stuff all on the same page. On the very top, you can buy, bike racks or whatever you possibly need up there. And on the bottom there, you have your available upgrades. So things basically you can spend your money on are going to be in that tab. The service tab and the roadside assistant tab are basically the same, offering the same information, except there's some new animation under the roadside assistant. A little window pops up, a little bit different, but not a lot of changes there. Now, when you swipe from left to right, that's going to be how you access all of your menu items, such as how many supercharging miles you have or your inbox, things like that. So that's another nice modern change to the app. So like I said, they're probably going to be making a lot more changes to it before it actually gets released to us. Maybe buttons will move around, different things will be added, but those are the changes that are coming out from what we knew right now from the leaks. There's obviously a couple things that I would love to see in it, and I think you guys would all agree. We would love to be able to stream the cameras that are in the car from the app. That would be a really great feature. I would never expect them to, give us the ability to watch recorded videos or things like central view videos, because that would require them uploading to some kind of a server for us to be able to pull them down onto our app. But just to have live stream of the video would be kind of nice. Maybe something like you get a notice that someone's at your car, and rather than watching the pre-recording, you can just tap on it on the app and quickly watch live what's happening around your car. And then it'd be really cool to even add in a microphone button right there, so that as someone's robbing you or keying you or getting close to your car, you could talk out of the speaker if you have one of the older models like me, or I guess the newer models, and tell someone, hey, get away from my car. So from what you guys have seen, what is your favorite part about this app, and what would you like to see on there that we haven't really covered today? Some new features that would like to be on there. So anyway, guys, I hope that catches you up if you're way behind like me. We're going to be getting into a lot more things news related here on this channel as we progress and the channel continues to grow. So thank you guys for your loyalty and watching up to this time. Looking forward to having the full self-drive and making more crazy driving videos as soon as that's relevant again. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.